Hey guys, Sheri and Richerson from experimentalhomesteader.com, exoticgardening.com, sheriandricherson.com, and biannualblogathonbash.com, and welcome to our daily vlog. So today was the very first Homesteaders of Indiana conference, or Indiana Homesteading Conference, I'm sorry. I was there. We were there. So as you can see, there were a number of events, and it was quite spread out. So the classes that I decided to take was Intro into Wild Edibles and Medicinals. And let's see, what else did I take? Food preservation methods and long-term food storage, how to fund your homestead by starting a CSA, extending the growing season for maximum produce production, and I know there was a couple other on here. Developing a personal and home protection plan. So, and then we had a regional chat. So it was a very packed day. Most of the presentations ended up going literally till just a couple of minutes before it was time to start the next presentation. So I felt like at times I was just literally running from class to class. There were some vendors there, and I should have brought that stuff over. There were some vendors there and some really great information. There were some free items that people were giving away. Let me reach over here. So I believe these are hickory nuts that you can actually plant. This is a wild white peach that grows here that you can plant. These are persimmon seeds. I also picked up some, these are pawpaw seeds. I'm sorry, get that right. These are persimmon seeds. Some dill weed, some butterfly weed, and I got some jelly melon seeds, and also some Flemish antique poppy seeds. So I have quite a variety of seeds. Jeff actually went and he's got a couple packets of seeds. But quite a variety of seeds that I am looking forward to starting and seeing if I can get growing. Now, I was really interested in the introduction to wild edibles and medicinals, because there are a lot of different juices for some of the plants that grow like weeds around here. I mean, a lot of people pull them out and treat them like they're weeds. So I did not know that you could make pasta basically from dandelion stems. And I'm curious to actually look into that a little bit more, because it was definitely, I had no idea. Something else that was mentioned was dandelion maple cakes. I've never had those, but it does sound good. So that is definitely something else that I'm going to be looking into. I have eaten dandelion flowers in different foods. And so I'm definitely interested in, checking out some of the things that I learned about it today. I had never thought to dry violet leaves and use them in soups and stews, or to eat the leaves like spinach. So that was something new to me today that I had no idea about. Also, something else that I learned, I took a lot of notes. I don't see it here now, and I know it's here. Burdock. Burdock is actually a very beneficial plant. And I've always thought of it as a weed because of the sticky little seed pods that attach to you and go everywhere. And they are so annoying. They get in animals' fur and they want to attach there. Obviously, that's how they spread, and I know that. So they're just doing what they would naturally do. But I guess the seeds inside of that little spiny seed pod can be toasted and eaten. The root can be used. I'm trying to... Oh, there it is. Okay. The burdock root, if you harvest it in the fall, can be used for... Let's see, it says burdock seed tea. But the root, along with yellow dock root and dandelion root, can be used for tea, and it can also be powdered and used on food. She was saying that this particular plant helps people with anemia, which is something I've been diagnosed with. But it helps the body to release the iron, so that they can get the iron from foods instead of having to take the supplements or the infusions or whatever the case may be. So that's something that I'm definitely interested in trying. She had also talked about making a glycerate from apple, peach, and pear flowers in the spring. So that was another thing that was new to me. This lady has an apothecary. So, I had also not thought about making herbal teas with evergreen conifers like Douglas fir, white pine, balsam fir, and Scotch pine. So, lots and lots of ideas from her. I also found out that you don't want to eat the seeds that are in elderberries because they contain cyanide. And you don't want to boil the elderberry syrup or the elderberries to make syrup. She said that was completely the wrong process. Everybody does it, but that doesn't make it right. She said to infuse the berries in apple cider vinegar for 6 weeks and then press everything out so that you have the syrup basically, but it has not been boiled. So I don't know if there is an additional step to that. That was basically just what she said. So something that I'm very interested in finding a little bit more out about, because certainly if boiling it is the wrong thing to do, then that's not what I want to do when I finally get around to making some elderberry syrup. She also said that you can use the elderberry flowers and eat those and add the flowers to salads and stuff, which, again, I didn't know that. I haven't done a lot with elderberries. So she also talked about using the buds and barks from cottonwood trees, or from cottonwood, basically popular trees, to make a tea. And I heard her say blend it with lavender and cardamom. It also had clove and Ceylon cinnamon in it. And I went to try some of the tea, but it was already gone by the time I got around to her booth and got to take a look at that. Next, I attended the Extending the Growing Season for Maximum Produce Production class. And even though I have written the book, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Year-Round Gardening, and I do quite a bit of year-round gardening myself, I wanted to go to see if I could learn anything new. Maybe some advances that hadn't been, around when I had done it. Things I hadn't heard of, because, I mean, that is the point, to learn new materials. She actually said to plant tomatoes April 10th and harvest them until Thanksgiving inside of a high tunnel. Now, I can tell you, even without a high tunnel, I like to plant my tomatoes by the second week of March. And they need to be 8 weeks old. And I have harvested until January 1st. So the dates that she gave are very, very conservative. I also learned, I didn't know this, when you use 6 mil plastic, it's basically good for 6 years. Every mil of plastic, that's the thickness of the plastic, is good for 1 year. So, but she said starting the 4th year and every year thereafter, you lose 10% of the life transmission of the plastic. Which again, I wasn't aware of that exact number, but I found that interesting to actually hear those numbers. Then I went to the developing a personal and home protection plan. And that was a very interesting class. He didn't get the whole class presented because there were lots and lots of questions. He said that at this point in time, 32 feet to 50 feet is considered the danger zone. So basically, if someone is threatening you and they are closer to you than 50 feet, if they're in that 32 to 50 feet zone, you're actually already in danger. That is what the police consider the danger zone. It has changed. And, you know, I think if 50 feet that's a lot. But I guess it's really not. We learned a lot about the laws in Indiana when it comes to tasers, pepper sprays, guns, even your car keys can actually be considered use of force if you use them to defend yourself. So one thing that he did say, if you ever are in a situation where you feel threatened or like you're in danger and the situation escalates, even if you scare the other person off, you need to call 911 and report it. Because he said the first person to call 911 is the one that is considered the victim. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And he also said that when you're in this situation, the first rule is to identify your target and what's beyond them. So you need to see if you do have to defend yourself, if there's anyone else that could be basically collateral damage. And lastly, he said not to ever give a statement until after 2 sleep cycles, which I also thought that was very interesting. But he said until you've slept twice after a basically traumatic event, your mind hasn't cleared and you're not thinking of things clearly. So you need to wait at least 2 sleep cycles before you do anything other than let them know what the other person did. But you don't talk about your own actions until 2 sleep cycles. So then I went to the food preservation methods and long-term food storage. Now, basically, I was mostly interested in learning about freeze drying. I was hoping there was quite a bit about that. And there was quite, you know, not quite a bit, but there was some good information about that. And I was also wanting to see if there was any long-term food storage tips that maybe I didn't know. One thing that I did not know and that I find very interesting, the All-American canners don't require a seal. So unlike the standard pressure canners like I have, that you have to have a seal and you have to replace the seal, the All-American canners don't use that. So I also learned that vacuum sealed food typically lasts 4 times longer than food that is just put into a storage bag and not vacuum sealed. Another thing that they talked about that I guess I just never thought about, when you buy those bags of frozen vegetables in the grocery store, they're already blanched. So basically, you can come home and dump those on your dehydrator trays and dehydrate them. Now, I don't know what size her food dehydrator is, but she said that she could get 1 pound bag per tray, and 7 pounds of dehydrated vegetables in a half a gallon jar. So that was very interesting to me because that's quite a bit of food in a very, very small space. And certainly less space than you'd use if you was keeping that in your freezer. She also said to always use oxygen absorbers in containers for long-term food storage. And when you're picking the food grade 5-gallon buckets that you're storing your food in, you need to make sure that the lid you use has the rubber seal, which I didn't know that one either. Another tip that I picked up was if you're using the canning jars and you're using the canning jar lids and you're trying to vacuum seal, and you're having a problem, but you're trying to vacuum seal those lids on, somebody said that a good trick to use is to use 2 of the canning jar lids, the flat ones, and stack those on top of each other, vacuum seal the jar, and then the top lid will just slide off. So we actually bought a brake bleeder to do that with because I was having so much trouble trying to get those lids to vacuum seal on using my big vacuum sealer and the attachment that goes on it. So, and then I went on to the, let's see, how to fund your homestead by starting a CSA. Now, this was very interesting to me because the guy actually gave some numbers. He produces 100,000 pounds of produce on 5 acres. You heard that right. 100,000 pounds of produce on 5 acres. Now he has additional acreage. So basically, every year, in addition to that 100,000 pounds of produce, he produces 20,000 pounds of pork and beef and 40,000 free-range eggs. That is a heck of a lot, guys. He does use intensive garden planting, so his crops are really, really close together, and that makes a difference. Now, that 20,000 pounds of pastured meat comes from 25 cattle and 100 pigs. That 125 animals and 20,000 pounds of meat. That's a lot, guys. So he also said, for those of you considering starting a CSA or wanting to find a way to grow some plants that you can sell and help make some money to keep your homestead going, he said that he plants between 15,000 and 20,000 garlic bulbs a year. That way he's always got garlic, and he's always got something to put into his CSA boxes, because garlic can be one of the items that he sends home with people, and he says people are happy to get the garlic. So He also starts 40,000 seeds a year. And he does this in an 8-foot by 24-foot greenhouse that holds 11,000 plants at one time. I really wish he would have showed a picture of this. And I am going to look him up online because I am so interested in seeing additional photos and seeing exactly what this greenhouse looks like and how close his seed trays and stuff are, because I've never even come close to that. And I have utilized multiple greenhouses. I've done winter seed sowing, and these numbers just absolutely blew my mind today. So they have decided that the Indiana Homesteading Conference will take place again next year. They've already given a date, September 30th. And that is a tentative date. They don't have a place to have it yet or any of that, but that's the tentative date that they are going for. I think that they did a fantastic job for a first-year conference. The speakers were very good. I definitely got something out of every class that I went to. And the vendors were very helpful and friendly. Places I hadn't heard about before. They had a place called Four Jars there. Forjars. Let me see if I can show it to you right there. And their canning jar lids, they guarantee to seal. They said if there is a problem, they want to know about it. So obviously that's not a user problem, but a problem with the lid itself. And the last couple of years canning, especially this year, I've had a lot of problems with the ball lids that I normally buy not wanting to seal. And so they gave everybody a sample pack of their lids so that you could bring them home and you could try them out. And I'm definitely going to do that because I feel like these lids are so expensive to start with, and you really count on them to keep your food safe. And it's real frustrating when you've canned something and you know you've followed instructions and done it the right way, but yet the jar doesn't seal and you have to do it 2 or 3 times to actually get the lid to seal. So anyway, guys, I know this is kind of long today, but like I said, it was just really a jam-packed day and lots of good information and lots of things happening. So please subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below. Thanks for watching and have a great night.